not just challenges that are faced by lawyers. They are challenges that are faced by valuers, by surveyors, by any stakeholder who is in the Ministry of Lands. But most importantly, these are not just challenges that are faced by lawyers. They are challenges that are faced by valuers, by surveyors, by any stakeholder who is in the Ministry of Lands. But most importantly, facility to travel for medical cases have actually died as they wait for the Ministry of Lands. And we all know that are being faced by our fellow Kenyans.
Yes.
Yes. We are aware of instances where landowners, while they are waiting for their documents to be processed so that they can access a loan facility to travel for medical cases, have actually died as they wait for the Ministry. And we all know that land is a means of production.
Yes.
So therefore, when there are challenges and inefficiencies at the Ministry of Lands, it is not just the lawyers who suffer.
Yes.
The country and the economy that is suffering. The government is struggling to raise taxes.
Yes.
They are unable to collect stamp duty because they cannot process the land transactions.
Yes.
So we will have the Vice President of the Law Society read a press statement before we hand out the memorandum to the PS.
Yes.
And then we will invite the President of the Institute of Surveyors to also say something. Before then, the PS can respond to the memorandum which we would have handed over to him. We'll start with the Vice President.
Yes,
we are ready. Is it ready?
Pages. Simultaneously, namely Arthi Hse, which we have done the Arthi Hse system aspires to provide simple and seamless workflows between various institutions, government agencies, the general public, and stakeholders, as well as to ensure efficiency and improved service delivery to Kenyans. It is disappointing, to say the least, that this online system has been marred with a number of challenges. Additionally, land registries across the country continue to experience inefficiencies arising from lack of adequate personnel, missing files, complete land record breakdown on franking machines, lack of working and reliable record management system.
and corruption.
That is why we are here today to execute this protest, the Arthi Hse. The protest aims not only to place a public outcry, but also to document the challenges that are being faced and present them to the ministry as other legal avenues are being sought to address the challenges faced by the public. Therefore, in fulfillment of this mandate, under Section 6 of the Lands Act, we call upon the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development to, one, undertake a thorough audit of the Arthi Hse system to establish what works, what does not work, and remedial remedies and measures, and include relevant stakeholders during this process. Update the conversion manual, develop guidelines on registration of foreigners on the platform, align Arthi Hse with the electronic laws on how to manage the electronic execution and verification of documents. Allow adoption of advanced electronic signatures on Arthi Hse and alternatively use Regulation 14 subsection 3 of the Land Registration Regulations 2020 to allow for execution and attestation manually where it is not legally possible to achieve advanced electronic signatures. The Ministry to extend time for compliance with the provisions of Section 13, subsection 2 of the Sectional Properties Act allow transactions to continue using the money. Until the titles are converted to an LSK register and are ready for uploading.
Return the file.
The manual files to be returned to establish. To be set in place to manage the various issues and challenges under the SPA and relevant statute changes to ensure.
The Ministry of Lands has been undertaking reforms in the registries, and they piloted Nairobi registry through digitization, and they dubbed the project Arthi Hse. This project has been here with us for the last 3 years, but we are seeing that it's causing a lot of challenges, and some members are thinking perhaps the older system was better.
Yes.
I would quickly highlight what are the challenges that we have with Arthi Hse, and we think and we wish the ministry can look into urgently so that we are able to have a transparent and effective land management system. One, we find there's a lack of user needs analysis. All the stakeholders are complaining about Arthi Hse except the Ministry of Lands.
Yes.
That is quite odd.
Yes.
Very true. We suggest that they establish a business analyst to be able to collect all these issues that we have so they are taken on board in the development of the system, or improvement rather. Registration of subdivisions, extension of lease, change of user, amalgamations have stalled. Anybody doing survey in Nairobi, you cannot get a survey to transact in Nairobi. It's taking forever. We want that the requirements for submission of survey jobs be completed, as currently they are incomplete in the survey module in Arthi Hse. The requirements for verification, conversion, replacement of titles should be clarified and effected. Two, the non-completion of conversion of early titles in on all Nairobi parcels via the Gazette notice. So we have the conversion list. All of them have not been converted and updated on Arthi Hse. So you have a list of properties that are converted but are not on Arthi Hse. So you cannot transact. And they are the majority. Non-transferability of converted parcels. Whereas the 90 days have lapsed after the publishing of the Gazette notice on conversion, this has not happened. So you cannot transact on those parcels even though 90 days have lapsed.
Problem.
Many jobs are in transition. Many jobs are stuck.
Yes.
In the either registry or survey pre Arthi Hse. And the ministry is not providing guidance how those jobs are completed. They are only insisting do on Arthi Hse. How do you insist on Arthi Hse and there are pending jobs in the system? Some processes are not supported in Arthi Hse. Cancellation of survey, replacement of lost control of survey processing, all those are not on Arthi Hse. One of the most important things that Kenyans should note is Arthi Hse is using a coordinate system, has changed the use of UTM that is causing distortion. Nairobi is surveyed using Cassini system, but Arthi Hse is using UTM. So with UTM, you will have distortions. For every kilometer, you lose a meter.
I would want to say on the implementation of the Sectional Properties Act, there is a lot of confusion. The survey module is not there, so it cannot proceed. Uploading of floor plans, which is critical, has not been provided. The SPA survey module has not been tested or even demonstrated to the practitioners how it will work.
Yes.
The processing of sectional property survey jobs currently that we have on the moratorium is in contravention of the SPA Act, and we need that guidance is provided on what happens going forward. I think I've touched on Arthi Hse, but I think it's important to also bring the attention of the PS and the ministry that stamp duty valuations, private valuers were allowed to conduct valuations for stamp duty. That is not happening, and we don't understand why. Maybe the PS will tell us. Because the parliament has allowed the country to privatize stamp duty valuations, but the ministry is insisting on doing them. We do not know the benefit, will tell us. But we insist that the ministry should fast track the private valuers to conduct those stamp duty valuations. I think with that, we are also facing a lot of challenges, and I think it's very important that we become candid. Now these challenges, we don't know if they are deliberate to extort Kenyans. The Ministry of Lands will soon become a center of corruption. If we continue with this trajectory that we are following, we are very afraid that there will be a total collapse of land administration in this country. Yes! Urgent action to forestall that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, LSK and ISK and members of the public who have participated in today's peaceful demonstration. I want to welcome you to the State Department of Lands. And I want to thank you for having a peaceful demonstration. It is your right. And I had said yesterday that I'll be here to receive you myself, personally. I've listened to the challenges that you've said. I also got the memorandum that you had sent in November last year, and I've gone through it. And I want to say, truly there are challenges.
Yes.
And lawyers, ISK, are actually agents of government in terms of revenue collection.
Yes.
And as I can put it confidently that revenue collection has gone down.
Yes.
And we also received a memorandum from the Bankers Association enumerating the challenges also they are facing in terms of usage of Arthi Hse.
Yes.
I want to say some things that you've mentioned here. We are already working on them. One is on the issue of the extension of the time in relation to sectional properties. We are already seized of the matter. We have written to Parliament. We are seeking for extension of time because it is some of the challenges that caused the delay originated from the side of lands, and we think we need more time so that we can be able to fix that. On the issue of Arthi Hse, when we looked at the memorandum that you had, because I've not received the current memorandum. In the other memorandum, there are challenges in terms of the functionality of the system.
Yes.
And what I did when I came into office was first to talk to my officers on how this Arthi Hse is working. And there seems to have been challenges also internally on usage of the Arthi Hse. what I did so that we can move forward, what I did was to get the land administration headed by Ochieng to sit down, enumerate the challenges, and propose the solution to those challenges. Same to land registration. Same to survey. I just want to take you through quickly what we have done in terms of trying to find solutions. The same to survey, the physical planning, the land registration, the valuation, all of them sat with the registrars and the officials and identified the challenges, because there seems to have been a challenge in terms of the usage, the functionality of the Arthi Hse. And after we did that, we are now sitting with the developer. Right now, the survey, there's a team sitting with the developer. There are things that can be fixed immediately. There are things that... The reason why we did that, and I've talked to the chairman, was because we did not want to engage LSK and ISK and private sector before even us we could appreciate the problems that we have as a ministry. So we wanted to fix the problem first so that our registrars can be able to use the system first before even we talk of talking to LSK and ISK. Because we can engage ISK and LSK. So we are done with that process. We have identified the challenges, the proposed solution. Right now, before I came to this meeting, I was also sitting with NLC because we want to also bring them on board. So now, after this meeting, we'll sit with the leadership of LSK, the ISK, and agree on the modalities on how we can achieve effectiveness on Arthi Hse. Number two, order is on the issue of unclogging the pending issues. Yes. And unclogging the pending issues is dependent on the files that were moved here. And we have already identified. I asked the registrar and the directors to list for me all the pending issues, and we have the file numbers, the LR numbers of all the pending issues, so that let's wait. So that we are able to make the hard decision. Yes. On whether we can proceed to do that process manually, digitally, or we can sort out the issue of the pending issues and clogging as we digitize them at the same time. So we are seized of that matter. There is a team that are formed in this registry that is now sitting. The manual files that were moved are not organized properly. We'll get solution. So on that issue, the issue of unclogging the pending issues was caused by the movement of the files. And therefore, the transaction couldn't continue without accessing the physical files. The physical, as you are aware, the process of digitization was carried by a joint team called JNAM, which I'm sure LSK was participating in that process. And midway, the JNAM team left behind LSK, left behind the Ministry of Land, and the developer proceeded to develop a program that was not functioning properly. So we are working on that. Order, members. We are working on that. We are working on that. We have timelines on the issue of unclogging the pending issues, on the issue of because there are very many files. Bankers Association are estimating worth of 100 billion plus of transactions stolen because of those pending issues. We are determined to unlock them. We have a timeline of 60 days to unlock
Order, members. Order. Members, members.
each other.
Can give you leave of
We have a
14
government
days.
directive that we must unclog all those issues within the next 60 days. There are issues that were unclogged yesterday, there are issues that will be unclogged today, but I don't want to lie to you that I can finish that issue tomorrow.
Unclog me, unclog.
What we will do,
Order here.
those files have to be placed.
Order.
So we have a timeline, a government timeline, that we need to work on those documents and finish them and unclog the pending issues within the next 60 days. We are doing an audit also of the functionality of the Arthi Hse. Because now we have finished the audit from the internal audit side as the Ministry of Land. From next week, I had spoken to the President LSK that from next week we want to sit. And thank you very much, because already in your petition you've done an audit of the system, and you have done some recommendation that you're proposing that as the Ministry of Land we should execute, and it will make the process more efficient and more effective. So we will sit and look at those recommendations. If some of them we're already doing them, we can actually take the LSK and ISK and the private sector to see and sit what we're exactly doing, and they can make their proposals so that we can factor them in. On the issue of digital signature. On the issue of digital signature, which is very important in terms of online transaction. We are already working with ICTA, which I am sure the President LSK is aware. ICTA has developed the infrastructure on how to use the digital signature. We are now at the process of verification. If you come to my office right now, every department I've been asked to register those officials who will be authorized to use the digital signature. So I think that one we are already flying. It's just a matter of execution, and we'll be done with it shortly. So, and many other things. What I want to say is that we are determined to make the hard decisions to ensure that transactions in this ministry are working. On the issue of corruption, which you have mentioned, on the issue of my officers,
What is your commitment?
my commitment is that we will instill discipline. We will ensure that if there are officers who are corrupt, they are dealt with. We will ensure that if there are officers who are ineffective, we will deal with it. Because you know, we are service delivery ministry. And if we cannot deliver service effectively, then we stall so many other things. And LSK, ISK are our partners in the service delivery. If the transactions are done effectively, LSK generates revenue, assists us in generating the revenue. So, you are our allies. And we must ensure that there is work is being done effectively. So I want to give a commitment that we will sit and establish, you said you establish a committee. A permanent committee that will be dealing with these issues. And after we sit with the president, I want to request that after this meeting, you can allow us to retreat with your leadership. Yes. 10 people. So right now, weekly okay, Mawakili. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Timeline.
They started running from last week. Actually, before we came in, then the government, then CS and PS had applied for registration. But before it went to parliament, you better close this place for 6 years. But after 3 years, okay, thank you very much.
Question! We are doing national anthem, then we leave. If you want lunch, I'm around, eh?
Tukae na udugu, amani na udugu, raha tupate na ustawi.
Thank you, members. Thank you. We are going back. There's no food for us.
There's lunch there at the corner.
There's lunch there at the corner.
At the corner to lunch.